Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into something a little different, something that might leave you sleeping with the lights on.
Ooh, sounds intriguing. I'm ready to be spooked.
We're going to be exploring the psychology of fear, looking at how a well-crafted story, even without buckets of blood or jump scares, can truly get under your skin.
Yeah, I've always found that subtle, creeping dread so much more effective than in-your-face horror. It really sticks with you.
Agreed. So for this deep dive, we've got three interconnected horror stories that we're going to unpack. The Man in the Reflection, The Silent Passenger, and The Locked Room. Each one plays with this idea of the familiar turning strange, of the everyday becoming unsettling.
The familiar turning strange, huh? That's a
Yeah.
really good way to put it. I think that's why these kinds of stories resonate with us so deeply,
Yeah.
because they tap into something very primal, very real.
Exactly. We're going to dissect what makes these stories tick, how they build that sense of unease, and what they might reveal about our own anxieties.
I'm all for that. Let's get started.
Okay, let's jump right into our first story, The Man in the Reflection. The protagonist starts noticing these weird glitches with his reflection right from the get-go.
Glitches? Like how?
Well, at first it's subtle, like he catches his reflection lingering a beat too long in the bathroom mirror or popping up unexpectedly in a window when he walks by. Little things that you could almost dismiss as tricks of the light or your mind playing tricks on you.
Right, those little moments where you're not even sure if you actually saw what you thought you saw.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so effective, I think, because the story starts by playing with those moments of uncertainty.
Yeah, it kind of lulls you into this false sense of security. Like, oh, it's probably nothing.
And then it slowly starts to escalate. It goes from these fleeting visual anomalies to this persistent feeling of being watched.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's creepy. Even though there's nothing overtly threatening happening in the protagonist's life, this feeling intensifies. Like there's some unseen presence constantly observing him.
That feeling of being watched is so unsettling. It's like an instinctual thing, you know? Makes your hair stand on end.
Totally. And there are even these brief glimpses of a figure in the reflections, always still, always just out of sight. It's the subtle intrusion that really starts to get under the protagonist's skin.
It's almost worse that you don't get a good look at it, right? Your imagination runs wild.
Absolutely. Then comes this really crucial scene where the protagonist is on a FaceTime call with his sister.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. I remember this part.
Yeah. And as they're talking, the sister suddenly goes quiet and asks the protagonist if someone's standing behind him.
Chills. Literal chills.
Mm.
Suddenly, it's not just in his head anymore.
Right. It's this external validation that something is seriously wrong, and then bam, the call cuts out.
And what happens next?
Well, the phone rings again, and the protagonist picks up, but it's not his sister. It's a distorted voice whispering, "Let me in."
Oh, that's just classic, isn't it? The phone, this symbol of connection and safety, suddenly becomes a conduit for something sinister.
Right. It completely throws the protagonist off balance. He starts trying to regain some control, covering all the mirrors, smudging them, anything to get rid of these unsettling reflections.
I can just picture him frantically trying to erase any reflective surface in his apartment.
Yeah. But that's when the story takes a truly terrifying turn. Because he realizes, with horror, that the reflection no longer needs the mirror.
Wait, what? How is that even possible?
That's the genius of it. The story doesn't explain it, which makes it even more unnerving. The reflection has somehow broken free of its physical constraints. It's become independent.
Oh, that's just messed up. Talk about your worst nightmare.
And then comes the climax of the story. The protagonist is drawn back to his bedroom mirror, the one he carefully covered up, and as he slowly peels back the covering, he sees it.
What does he see? Don't leave me hanging.
It's his reflection, but different. The eyes are lifeless, the mouth is stretched into this grotesque grin that isn't his, and the figure raises its hand in a slow, mocking wave.
Ugh, that imagery is so disturbing. It's like a twisted, evil twin.
And then the reflection steps out of the mirror.
No way. I mean, I know it's coming, but it still gets me every time.
Right. It's the ultimate violation. Your reflection, which is supposed to be a part of you, suddenly becomes something separate, something hostile.
And it doesn't just end there, right? I mean,
Right.
it would be terrifying enough if that was it.
Oh no, the aftermath is just as unsettling. The protagonist wakes up the next morning, the mirror is shattered, but he's now living with this new reality. His reflection still acts independently, showing emotions he doesn't feel, moving when he's perfectly still.
So he's trapped. Even if he breaks every mirror, he can't escape himself.
Exactly. And then there's this final chilling detail. As he's brushing his teeth one morning, he catches a glimpse of someone standing behind his reflection in the mirror. Someone smiling directly at him.
Oh, wow. That's a gut punch. Like, whatever this thing is, it's not alone. It's part of something bigger, something even more terrifying.
Yeah. It leaves you with this lingering sense of dread, like the story isn't truly over, and the protagonist is still in danger.
Okay, I need a moment to process that before we move on to the next story. That one really got to me.
I hear you. These stories are definitely designed to get under your skin.
You're doing a good job of it.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Sure, bring it on.
Okay, story number 2. The Silent Passenger. This one takes place in a very different setting. A crowded train during the evening commute.
Ah, so we're moving from the isolation of an apartment to the claustrophobia of public transport.
Exactly, and that setting itself plays a big part in the story's effectiveness.
How so?
Well, think about it. You're surrounded by strangers, everyone's trying to ignore each other, lost in their own thoughts or staring at their phones. It creates this strange sense of anonymity, of detachment.
Yeah, I definitely feel that on my commute sometimes. You're surrounded by people, but you're still kind of in your own little bubble.
Right, and in this story, the narrator is sitting across from this woman who's completely still, like unnaturally still.
Okay, that's already a bit creepy.
Yeah, it's enough to make you look twice. But here's where it gets really strange. The woman herself isn't moving, but her reflection in the train window is slowly turning to look directly at the narrator.
Wait, hold on. The reflection is moving independently of the actual person.
Yep. It's this visual disconnect that instantly throws you off balance.
That's so disturbing. It's like your brain can't even process what it's seeing.
And then, to make it even creepier, the reflection smiles. This slow, deliberate smile that doesn't reach the woman's actual face.
Ugh, I hate those creepy, unnatural smiles. They always send shivers down my spine.
And the narrator is trapped, right, stuck on this train with this
Yeah.
thing, staring at them.
It's like that feeling of being watched, but amplified tenfold.
Exactly. And then, out of nowhere, the woman, the real woman, not the reflection, whispers,
Mm-hmm.
"He sees you now."
He sees you now. Who's he?
That's the question, isn't it? The story never explicitly reveals who he is, which only adds to the mystery and the fear.
So what happens next?
Just as she whispers that warning, the lights in the train car flicker, the train lurches violently, and when the lights come back on, both the woman and her reflection are gone. Vanished without a trace.
Poof! Just like that.
Yep. And to make things even more unsettling, the train never starts. It just keeps going into the darkness with the narrator still on board.
Oh, wow. So we're left with this image of the narrator hurtling towards an unknown destination with no way to escape whatever he might be.
It's an incredibly chilling and ambiguous ending. You're left to imagine what might happen next, which is often far scarier than anything the story could explicitly tell you.
I definitely prefer that kind of ending. It lets your own imagination run wild.
All right, ready for our final story. This one is called The Locked Room.
Hit me with it. I'm strangely eager to be creeped out again.
All right, so the protagonist checks into a motel. Pretty standard setup. But as he's getting his key, the desk clerk gives him this strange warning. Tells him, very specifically, not to open his door at night no matter what he hears.
Okay, red flag number 1. You know something's going to go down when you get that kind of warning.
Right. Immediately sets the mood. And of course, at exactly 3 a.m., there's a knock at the door.
Of course.
This slow, rhythmic knocking that just keeps going. The protagonist looks through the peephole, but there's no one there.
The classic no one at the door.
Yeah.
Always effective.
And then, as he's still peering through the peephole, he hears a voice whispering, "Let me in."
Okay, but here's the twist, right? Because I remember this one.
Yeah. The horrifying twist is that it's his own voice he's hearing.
Wow. That's next level creepy. It's like the ultimate invasion of self.
Exactly. And the story ends with this grim confirmation of what's been happening. The next morning, the protagonist goes to check out, and he sees a newspaper clipping on the desk.
Oh, I bet I know what that clipping says.
It's a story about the previous guest in that very same room who was found dead under mysterious circumstances.
And the desk clerk doesn't even bat an eye, right? Just goes about his business like it's a normal Tuesday.
Yep.
It suggests that this isn't a one-time thing, that there's something truly sinister at play in that room, and that the protagonist narrowly escaped the same fate.
That one is so simple, but so effective. It really gets you thinking about the places we consider safe, like a motel room, and how that sense of security can be shattered so easily.
All right, so we've now heard all 3 stories. What do you think? Any common themes or elements that really stand out to you?
Definitely. I mean, first off, it's amazing how each story manages to build this incredible sense of dread without resorting to any graphic violence or jump scares.
Yeah, it's all about atmosphere and suggestion. They let your imagination do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Right. And speaking of suggestion, I think another key element is the way these stories play with the familiar. Like reflections, fellow passengers, your own voice. Those are all things we encounter every day.
They're part of our normal reality, and that's why it's so unsettling when they're twisted and distorted in these stories. Exactly. It makes you question what's real and what's not. And it also taps into this primal fear of the unknown, of the possibility that something sinister could be lurking just beneath the surface of our everyday lives.
I think that's one of the most powerful takeaways from these stories. It's not so much about monsters or ghosts, but about the unsettling potential for the ordinary to turn against us.
And that feeling of helplessness that permeates each story. The characters are confronted with these inexplicable phenomena, and they're powerless to stop them.
Which I think mirrors, in a way, our own anxieties about the things we can't control in life, the unexpected twists and turns, the moments where we feel like we're not fully in charge of our own destiny.
Yeah, that's a great point. These stories really resonate on a deeper level because they tap into those universal fears.
So what we've really explored today is how subtle horror, the kind that relies on atmosphere, suggestion, and psychological tension, can be so much more effective and long-lasting than the more in-your-face stuff.
I think it's because it stays with you longer. You keep replaying those scenes in your head, filling in the gaps, and the fear just kind of festers.
And that lingering sense of unease is exactly what these stories are designed to evoke. They make you question the boundaries of your own reality, the things you take for granted.
I think you're right.
And the fact that they leave so much to the imagination is what makes them truly terrifying. Because your own mind can conjure up things far more horrifying than anything a writer could explicitly describe.
For sure. It's like they're planting a seed of fear in your mind, and then they let it grow and blossom on its own.
I'm glad you used the word seed because I was going to mention something similar. It makes me wonder, think about the reflective surfaces in your own life, right? The mirrors in your home, the windows at night. Have you ever caught a glimpse of something that made you do a double take? Something that felt just a little bit off?
You mean like those times when you think you see something in your peripheral vision, but when you turn to look, there's nothing there?
Yeah, exactly. Or those moments when your reflection seems to do something you didn't do, or you catch a glimpse of your own face in the mirror and it looks different somehow.
Oh, stop. You're going to make me paranoid to look in the mirror ever again.
It's not about being paranoid, it's about being aware. What if those fleeting moments of unease, those little glitches in our perception, are actually telling us something?
Telling us what?
Maybe they're glimpses into a darker side of reality, something that we usually can't see but that sometimes breaks through. Or maybe, and this is even more unsettling, they're reflections of something within us, some hidden anxiety or fear that we're not even consciously aware of.
Okay, now you're really messing with me. I'm going to be looking over my shoulder all night.
That's the point, isn't it? To make us question the things we take for granted. To see the potential for fear and wonder in the most mundane aspects of our lives.
I think you've definitely succeeded in that.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the unsettling world of fear. And remember, the next time you catch a glimpse of something strange in the mirror, don't just dismiss it. It might be trying to tell you something.
I'm never going to look at mirrors the same way again.
And on that note, we'll leave you to your reflections. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the lights on.